Hello there. Decided I would take my drone out for a test flight. It's been a long time. I've had the drone for, I don't know, a couple years, but I haven't taken it out for probably a year or more. So I don't really remember how it works, and I figured I would take it out, give it a test flight, and see if I can get reacquainted with the device. So I'll just jump right into my footage. So I start off a little bit rough when I, got to the park. You'll notice like I kind of go back and forth with the direction of it. It's sort of jerky. It's not smooth, and that's just me not really remembering how the controls work. The controls are really smooth, but they're also sensitive. So it took me a little bit to kind of get reacquainted with it. So that fade into this scene is really, that's just me getting a little bit better. I've had a little bit of practice now at this point, and I'm getting a little bit better with moving the drone around, but I'm still a little unsure. And it becomes a little bit more apparent when we get deeper into this, and I'll make note of when that is. But right now, I'm taking it over the hills and just sort of getting reacquainted with the controls and exploring. It's such a fun device for me because I not only love having an excuse just to get outside. I don't do that very often. It's sort of a me thing, but if I'm going to do something that's outside, I usually love to do something that's video related, and I've been short of opportunities to do that. So the drone is just always an excuse to get out there and, get the thing up in the air and just start taking pictures. It's a lot of fun. And then because you're so high up, it almost doesn't matter what you're taking a picture of. It just always ends up looking, really good. There's something about that high altitude, and just getting up there that really kind of allows you to capture the beauty in almost anything, including like just pictures of the suburbs. It's kind of funny. So now, at this point, I'm getting a little bit better and I'm trying to kind of, capture more smooth movements, but I still don't always quite get there. It's a lot better though. See the hills that we're looking at. This is sort of north in the city where I live. This is the Chumash Trail, and I'm taking pictures here. My starting point is the Chumash Park where I live. These are the hills that are up in the north. A lot of times these are pretty dry and don't really look all that scenic. And then you have to worry sometimes, are the people that live up there, are they in danger? Because, fire is an issue out here, as I'm sure, Southern California likes to burst into flames every once in a while, and we are no exception out here. So these hills can get pretty dry, and they're not quite as scenic and, can be fire fuel, really. A lot of these neighborhoods, though, even though they're kind of in a dangerous zone, they really haven't been susceptible to too many fires, at least not in the last 10 years or so. A lot of the bigger fires have been, a little bit more south and closer to the coast. So this will be, this is really just me getting back to the park here at this point. I'm going to just get reacquainted, swap out my battery now that I've had a little bit of an opportunity to get to know the drone again. And then I go ahead and I send it back up. Although right here, I did see that I had this opportunity to capture a kind of sunset, so I took it. It's pretty overcast today, so it really doesn't look that great. But in this next clip, now I've got a little bit more confidence. I'm taking it a little bit deeper into the hills, and I'm trying to, make the movement a little bit more fluid. I'm moving the controls. I'm moving the joystick a little bit slower. I'm now at this point, I've remembered how to move the gimbal, so I can get pretty high and then I can point the gimbal down, and that gives me, I'm taking advantage of that high altitude, but still pointing the gimbal downward so I can get the scenes that I'm looking for. The problem, of course, is that with a drone, you've got a range and you have to stick to that range. Otherwise, once you go out of range, you've lost connection to the drone, and then it's sort of hovering, and waiting to, hear from you again. That can be kind of scary. The nice thing about DJI drones is they account for that. So you'll see at one point in this clip that I actually do lose connection with the drone. I haven't actually looked at the clip yet, but I'm pretty sure it's obvious. Like I'll be moving, there'll be some sort of smooth motion as I continue to move forward, then suddenly I'm not. The nice thing about it is when you lose connection with that drone, it's got some built-in safety features that enable it to recognize that it's no longer connected to the controller. It's already marked the launch point, So what it does is it just recognizes that you've disconnected and then automatically navigates back to its launch point, which is great. As it's, flying back into, where it took off from, then, it reestablishes the connection with you. So, your heart attack can, ease off, and you can realize that you haven't lost, hundreds of dollars worth of drone out in the hills. So it's somewhere around this point, I believe. It's a bit of a nice smooth motion, and then suddenly I just, my screen goes black and white, and I get the notice that I'm out of range. I'm assuming it's just going to stop cold here, so we'll see. Yeah, this is probably it. So it's hovering now at this point. I've lost connection, and then that's when the safety feature just kicks into place. And what it should do is, yeah, it does. It totally turns right around. It may drop altitude. I'm not too sure. Oh, no, it looks like it raises altitude. And then once it feels like it's at a safe point, it's going to raise altitude to make sure that it's accounting for any trees that you might have flown over. So it raises that altitude up, and then it starts to glide back to the launch point. Now, the drone can go about 22 miles an hour, I think is the fastest it can go. As it's flying back to you when it's getting back into range, it doesn't go at its max speed. So you have like a little bit of a heart attack moment as it slowly kind of comes back into range, but it eventually gets there. And then when it does, you start to, you can see it. You've got that visual on the controller. You know that you're connected to the device again, and then you can hear it as it's coming closer to you, and that's always a relief. You hear that really sort of distinct buzzing sound of the drone as it comes back into range. So here it just ends up coming back over to the park where it started. And then I'm pretty sure that now that I've got it back into range, I'm controlling that gimbal. And that's just so that I can see that it's hovering over me. And it'll hover over there for a little bit, and then it notifies me that it's starting the landing process, and it very, very slowly starts to descend back to its launch point. And the launch point, it actually tracks via GPS. It marks where it took off. It comes back, and it's pretty accurate. It comes back, I would say, probably about a foot or two from where it actually took off. I mean, this is actually a lot more accurate than that. It's probably about within 1 foot of where it actually took off initially. So this is pretty good. So it very slowly descends back automatically. Like I'm not doing this. It's doing this for me. It comes back, and then I think as I come closer to the ground, I move the gimbal up. Yeah. And I think you can kind of see me there for a second, and that's me having less of a heart attack now that I got my drone back. So I go ahead and I take it up one more time, just to have one more victorious flight where I don't completely lose it. And then, yeah, just take it around the hills. Ordinarily, like I said, these hills are pretty dry and they don't look good. But we had some rain, so it's very, very green. It looks really pretty. Of course, the concern there is that once it starts to get hot, once it starts to dry up, then you don't have that green anymore, which is kind of a bummer. You get that sort of dry brush look instead, which doesn't look as pretty. And then, of course, it's somewhat of a fire hazard out here. So we don't like that much. Right now, it looks terrific. So I'm happy to take my drone up there and get some good pictures. And like I said, it's really funny. You can take it nice and high and just point it down at the landscape, and it really almost doesn't matter what it is that you're taking pictures of. It usually looks really darn good from a drone. There's just sort of a sense of beauty about it, even if you're taking it over your own neighborhood and flying over your neighborhood. There's just something about just pulling way back and seeing all those trees, seeing the rooftops, kind of admiring the beauty of the planning of the city almost. It sounds kind of corny, but it really is true. I'll see if I can take a little bit more video of just a regular neighborhood so you can see. It's kind of beautiful just to see all of the houses and the symmetry of the homes with the trees and the landscaping, the hills in the background. It just looks really good. Yeah, the drone is fun. It's sort of therapeutic for me. It's almost like meditating, I'll just take this drone up. Doesn't matter what I'm filming, just take it up and fly around and film whatever it is, and it's pretty satisfying. It's satisfying, it's enjoyable, and it's peaceful. It's very quiet. Yeah, I really enjoy it. That's all. Just a really simple video of my drone footage today. No more than that. I appreciate you watching if you did, and I will see you in the next video.